Paro. Pharaoh. Pharaoh is like the great crocodile crouching in the Nile's branches, thinking, "This river is mine, I made it for myself." The words of the prophet Ezekiel. In the Jewish community, we've entered into the third week of readings from the book of Exodus. Just 2 weeks ago, the Pharaoh who knew not Joseph was introduced to us, othering the Israelites as a dangerous fifth column and demanding the death of their firstborn sons. As my introductory quote from Ezekiel reminds us, Pharaoh saw himself as the very embodiment of Egypt, of the river Nile, and a living God. "The river is mine, I made it for myself." The great Greek philosopher Aristotle defined tyranny as a corrupt, illegitimate rule by one person who holds absolute power, is accountable to no one, and governs solely for their own advantage, not for the common good. It is a perversion of just governance where the ruler serves their own interest, using arbitrary power against subjects' will, often undermining laws, spreading mistrust, and keeping citizens impoverished and preoccupied. And I'm not only talking about Pharaoh. Is there any doubt that the American Republic is living through a period of tyranny? Masked agents, essentially a secret police force, roam the streets of American cities and arrest and assault and now even murder an American citizen with impunity. And our elected officials in Congress refuse to act to restrain the tyrannical impulses of the sitting president, but instead, time and again capitulate, granting him power and permission unchecked by our constitutional safeguards. From challenging the legitimacy of elections, to disregarding the rule of law and judicial orders, from using government power for personal gain, to asserting unlimited and absolute power as a unitary executive, from the undermining of constitutional and civil rights to the targeting of the press and free speech, from using the Department of Justice to target and investigate his political opponents, to using the U.S. military to abduct foreign leaders, President Donald J. Trump has literally been following the authoritarian playbook of a tyrant. Our nation's founding fathers were familiar with tyrants. They saw in their contemporary, King George III, a classic tyrant, as is recorded in our Declaration of Independence. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. As a result, our founders sought to create a system of checks and balances, dividing power among the Congress, the executive, and the judiciary. But today, that system is broken. In his lifetime, Dr. King spoke of the fierce urgency of now and the need for immediate action in addressing racial, social, and political upheaval. He spoke against incrementalists who said, patience, patience, little steps. No, he spoke of the fierce urgency of now. I suspect there hasn't been a greater urgency of now in this nation since the American Civil War. For all the challenges Dr. King and the civil rights movement faced in their day, the basic mechanisms and mechanics of American democracy, with all of its prejudices and structural racism, still functioned more or less as our founders envisioned. Neither the Congress nor the court had yet abdicated their roles in the separation of powers. Dr. King's work came during the presidencies of Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, and Lyndon B. Johnson, men who, for all their many flaws and foibles, recognized in Dr. King the righteous call for equality and justice that has been America's promise, however often delayed or denied. Each of these presidents was responsible in his administration for increasing voting and civil rights in America. Today we encounter a president and administration bent upon reversing the civil and social progress of the last 60 years, my lifetime. And never before in the history of our republic has so much power been vested into the hands of the president. And certainly it was never the intention of our founders to do so. On Wednesday evening, January 7th, New York Times White House correspondent Katie Rogers asked the president, "Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?" President Trump responded, "Yeah, there is one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me, and that's very good." This is a tyrant's self-indictment. Over this weekend, while our nation celebrates the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Robinson and I have been asking this question: what would Dr. King ask us to do here and now to feel the urgency of now? In his own words, Dr. King wrote, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" The ultimate measure of a man, he wrote, is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Brothers, sisters, can there be any doubt that this is such a time? This moment calls for us to stop sitting on the sidelines in the comfort and safety of our own personal circumstances, as 60 years of civil and societal progress are not merely eroding, but are being actively erased. Dr. King is well recalled in his "I Have a Dream" speech for his invocation of the words of the prophet Amos, chapter 5, verse 24. "Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." But Dr. King was equally cognizant that a half dozen verses forward, in the very next chapter, chapter 6, the prophet warns, "Woe to the complacent." A harsh condemnation of Israel's wealthy and powerful leaders in both northern and southern kingdoms, Amos berates those who lived in luxury while ignoring the suffering and impending crisis facing their nation. Amos warns against spiritual apathy, false security, and self-indulgence. And I believe Dr. King would have said that the prophet is also speaking to us today, now, with urgency. On Thursday morning, a deacon from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, Sebastian Ordonez, 58 years old, was detained by ICE agents as he was leaving his apartment building because he lacks legal immigration status. Deacon Ordonez is from Guatemala, but his family and close friends say he has no history of violent crime and has been part of the Brooklyn community for 2 decades. His lawyer, Michael Musa Obregon, said, quote, "Everybody in this country is entitled to due process. You cannot just randomly walk up to people, racially profile them, look at them like they're other, and because of the color of their skin and their mannerisms or whatever other things you have as an agent in your brain, assume or presume that they are here illegally." Close quote. This past Monday, Rafael Bajorquez, 53, a data analyst for the New York City Council, was detained during a routine immigration appointment on Long Island. ICE has also conducted a number of raids across the city, the boroughs, arresting several vendors in Lower Manhattan's Chinatown, descending upon multiple homes in Queens, where they have forcibly arrested residents. More than half of the people arrested by ICE in New York City last year were deported, some to countries other than their country of origin. But Rabbi, you may ask, what can I do about that? In his own lifetime, Dr. King bemoaned and actively criticized Northern white liberals for sitting on the sidelines when it came to fighting racism in our own communities. Liberal whites, he said, were quick to applaud his civil rights efforts down south, but he noted they were reluctant to engage the polite racism in their own northern communities. Most uncomfortably, Dr. King asked us northern white liberals to embrace disruption, to put justice before order, to recognize that direct action and protest are necessary to challenge comfortable injustice. We hear these words each year, but I'm not sure we take them to heart. Dr. King envisioned in his I Have a Dream speech, with this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And so today, I hear Dr. King's voice calling upon us to stand up and step off the sidelines, to choose to act as allies and even as accomplices for justice and freedom, to sound the call and to stand shoulder to shoulder with those who are doing the same, not as metaphor, but literally, to have our voices pierce the complacency around us and especially within us, within our own spirits. As the prophet Zechariah declared, "I will whistle to them and gather them, and I will redeem them." And as Isaiah proclaimed, God will whistle to one at the end of the earth. Now, perhaps a whistle isn't quite as inspiring as the annual sounding of the ram's horn, the shofar, that we in the Jewish community blow at the New Year, at Rosh Hashanah, and that I blow at the end of our 9/11 commemoration on the promenade each year. But the piercing shriek of a whistle has its own power, and that's why the prophets invoke it. Around the country today, the sound of whistles can be heard calling us to action and to attention. Community activists have learned that during ICE raids and arrests, to make as much noise as possible. When seeing people being detained by ICE, whistles are used today to signal danger. And when you see something happening right in front of you, instead of just standing there shocked and aghast as a bystander, unsure how to respond, what if you had a whistle? Sound aloud to do something. Visibly wearing the whistle around your neck today also signals your willingness to get involved, to take a stand, to protest injustice, to sound the alarm. Short, rapid bursts mean ICE agents are nearby, while 3 long continuous blasts signal an active arrest is taking place, thereby prompting vulnerable individuals to hide, while allies and accomplices form a loud, non-violent crowd to deter agents and document the event. And so, I have a small gift for all of you today, a gift that will, I hope, obligate you to act, get off the sidelines, and join and sound the alarm. And our ushers are going to bring some whistles for all of you right now. I invite you today to become an ally. Even better, to become an accomplice for justice, to wear the whistle and sound it, to wear the whistle and strike up conversations with others at your work or in your school or just in our neighborhood, a conversation about injustice. And I invite you to take a stand, to get off of the sidelines and to join Dr. King's vision of the beloved community. I invite you, with your whistle, to say to the modern-day Pharaoh who declares, "My river is mine, I made it for myself," no. America belongs to us all, as Dr. King prophesied. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountain, let freedom and our whistles ring.